Hello everyone, Esther here, and I decided to make a quick video of you showing the settings that I use on my server. So if you want to have a similar experience, you can just use what I am using and you will be good to go. In the background here we see that Victoria invited a friend over to the house and they are having a friendly sparring match because I'm getting her tactics and her pairing up. Now, for this, when you download the game, you will get a bunch of different folders, a game and a word. The word folder has everything you have in every information you need for your server, and inside the info and scripts folders, you will find the settings file, which is what we need for customize our server to our liking. There are many different things that you can change here, and they will change the experience you have dramatically. I leave my server save time in 10 minutes, which is the minimum that it allows you to, mainly because if something goes wrong, I don't lose very much. Everything else in this section, I think I left it at the default. And in game options, you can change how often traps trigger in your game. You can be to from 5% up to 100%. 25 is the default and it's what I am using. Also changed the announce trap saves line to true so I know when I dodged the bullet, sometimes literally. I don't think I remember I changed anything else in here. Those are two very important stats. You can change how fast you can gain your attributes from uh, 50, which is very slow, to 10, which is very fast, and I leave it at very fast. And stat gain delay is the time between stat gains, the time in which gains happen, which is 5 to 60 minutes. So if you want to have a creepingly slow experience, you can leave this at 60 and your attributes will take forever to raise. I left it at 5 because raising attributes in itself is not something that I am too interested in. I want them to raise naturally during my adventuring, and so I can tweak that very easily if I already have the attributes high. You can play as an alien that has more skill points but has a lot of higher resurrection fees. I don't particularly care for that, so I decided not to. You can play as a variety of different monsters like orcs, rats, vampires, and that seems all fine, but they don't really work well with mounts, so I decided to just leave this at 0, which means false. There's an option here that makes you never go hungry or thirsty when you are in your house or in an inn or a bank, which is great when you want to step down for the game for a while. I left it at true. This is another important section. It checks how fast you get hungry. It goes from 5 to 60 and I think it's like minutes or yeah, there are the minutes. I left it at the default, which means that food is important. It's something that I have to care about. If you leave it to very high, it means that it will take ages for you to get hungrier or thirstier, which will save you inventory space, but not much else. Guild fees, I left it to default. Maximum resistance at 70 are the default, I believe. Yes. There's the death penalty and how much gold you pay for resurrection after dying. I don't remember what are the defaults. I left those two at 5 and 20, which are fine. I don't die very often anyway. And I usually have, on my characters, I usually have some way of dealing with death by spell or potion. Damage versus monsters versus players, I left it as it came from the default file. I I increased the lower reagent maximum from 90 to 100. So when I have a fully geared character, I don't have to carry reagents anymore. If you want to have to do reagent management, you can lower this up, and you will need to deal with that mechanic then. I don't like it very much, so I just leave it to 100. If a character is strong enough to reach it, then I think it deserves it. Lower mana, lower mana cost is at 40, which is the default for me. And you can increase the amount of mana, stamina, and health that you have by changing this number here, the player level mod, but I just left it at the default, which is twice the attribute. So if we go here to Victoria, she has 141 strength, so she should have 282 regular hit points, and plus a few more from her gear, so she is at 305. You can have more or less if you want to tweak how the experience will be for you. And here you have the minimum and maximum amount of gold that a new character has. Mine are at the default. You can change the chance of getting an unID'd item from 10% to up. I leave it at 30. There is a chance of having more loot, and the default and maximum is at 100, and that's what I am using. If you want to less loot, you can reduce this. There's quest timers that you can play with. If you want to do artifact quests more often, then you get to play with this number, but I am doing to default. I get my artifacts in other ways. If you want to get more gold and stuff from your drops, you can change this value. I have 25. I don't know if it's too high, but it's probably very close to the default or the default. I don't remember if I changed this number, but I don't do quests anyway, so it doesn't really matter too much for me. But you can get more gold if you tweak this up to 250%. This is a very important section. A skill boost allows you to have more skill points in your character. Like I have a maximum of 1000 skill points on my characters because I didn't change this. You can add up to 10 here, which will allow you to have 2000 skill points on your build. I personally like the challenge of having 1 point to do my characters. It forces me to have multiple characters to achieve what I want to achieve. So I just keep it at 0 for that. And here is the speed on which skills increase. You can make it to 0 like I do to have them increase very fast, or you can have them at 0. I mean, you can leave it at 10 to have them go very fast, or you can leave them at 0 and have them go in the normal speed. I leave them at 10 because I play many characters and I don't want to macro forever. So I just leave just like the added speed. So as you can see in my Victoria playlist, her skills go very quickly as she is fighting enemies and finding traps and so on. It's very convenient for me. There are training dummies and pickpocket training dummies that you can find in the cities and Thieves Guild, and you can decide how far you will be allowed to take your skills on them. You can change these up to 100 or something if you don't want to actually engage with the mechanics. So if you want to have like 100 snooping easy, just change this, go to a Thieves Guild and snoop to your heart's content. And you can make the dummies train you much faster. There are a bunch of crafting settings that I probably didn't change, and a bunch of settings related to the difficulty of dungeons that I haven't changed either. For the merchants, I don't want them to sell everything that they normally stock. I want to have to search for the merchants with certain items on occasion, but I want them to buy everything that they would normally buy, because that saves me a ridiculous amount of time when I'm coming home from a dungeon. I also have this rich merchant set to true, which gives them a lot more gold. Uh, Actually, it gives them infinite gold if I'm not mistaken. Oh, yes, it gives him infinite gold, so he buys everything. So I just need to find one merchant of the adequate type, and it will just get rid of every item that he would normally buy from me. You can change your how much gold you get from stuff from vendors. I didn't, and I think that everything else is default. There's some stuff about house decay and boat decay that I don't particularly care about. The pet stuff is also on default settings, even the bonding, which is kinda silly. But I haven't played a tamer in a very long time. Yeah, that's pretty much it for this. So a quick video just showcasing you. I am using Visual Studio Code in here. I just use it usually for work, so I also use it for UO stuff when I need to mod something. I don't think I did many changes in the scripts of the game, but if I do eventually make something important that changes the experience of the videos, I will let you all know. Thanks for stopping by. Bye bye.